and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the DJ Force X podcast. This week, I'm very happy to be joined by a band called Sypha, who I recently discovered. I have Alfred, Will, and Alisha from left to right, as you're looking at it, people. Unless I flip it, then it'll just change. But yes, no, welcome, guys.
Oh, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. It's great to have you guys on. Like I said, I recently discovered you guys, and I thought, you know what, it's about time I had like some new bands on here, like new bands, nice new bands. Because I've had a few like established bands or bands. I've had actually no saying that I've had a few new bands on recently, but start 2025 as I mean to go on. I want to get more new bands on the show, and you are the kind of start of that, which is nice. I like to do these what I like to call, I kind of trialed them last year, discovery episodes, where I don't know anything about you guys. I don't know if my viewers will know. They may do. They may tell me differently, but yeah, let's start with that. So, like, you guys, you're Brighton based,
We are.
out of that area, but what are the sort of origins of the band? So, how did you guys get? When did you guys get together? How did you guys get together?
Well, we all met originally when we were at uni. We were all on the same course. And then, even though I was on the guitar course, one day I got a message from Alfred being like, "Hey, do you want to play bass for a band?" I was like, "Oh, that sounds fun." And then I completely changed. I finished that course, never played guitar again. I'm a bassist now. And that's how really we all met, just from doing the same course.
And he loves it, right?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, I was going to say it's less strings, it's less work. So, I mean, you're talking to a bassist here as well, to be honest with you. And weirdly, I trained to be a bassist. I went to ACM and everything, and fully learned how to play. Never played in a band as a bassist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a weird coincidence. I was a DJ before that, hence the name I have of this show, and the turntables behind me. Um, but it was yeah, no, I ended up being actually a DJ in a band, as opposed to playing well, quote unquote, a real instrument. So again, less strings. It was just a bit of vinyl, a couple of needles. Um, but yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, how long have you guys been together?
Like I think 2.5 years now.
Yeah, 2 years about that.
I think we do because obviously we met in uni and we'd done sort of some projects before, but
Yeah.
officially Cypher was about 2022, I think April, May time. So
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
weird one. Like it's hard to say like when the band started because like some of the songs were written like a couple of years prior.
Yeah.
They just never had like the project to like put it on, I guess. But yeah, officially 2.5 years, we'd say.
Yeah.
Nice. And is that like Brighton Uni, Worthing Uni, or that sort
Yeah,
of area?
BIM, Brighton.
In Brighton.
Yeah.
Okay. So the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music uni. The other, like, because up here I'm in, sorry, so ACM was the equivalent of that, like
No.
this way. So BIM, and I'm aware of like a lot of the I was friends with a lot of the tutors at BIM actually.
Oh, no.
Who were in bands back in the day. I don't know if they still, I haven't checked the roster recently, so I don't know if they were anything to do with you guys. But I know that place very well. My niece almost went there as well. So
Oh, cool.
um,
Quite known in Brighton as the sort of place to go for music.
it is. I'll say it's a very kind of active ground when it comes to like the music scene, specifically like the heavy music scene,
Mm.
which is surprising. Coming out of Brighton, generally, like it's a sort of, I always kind of see it as a club town,
Yeah.
because of the beach and everything like that, and the sort of summer shows, and big DJs. I mean, I used to go record shopping in Brighton. I knew like people in the record stores and the music stores and everything down that way, and yeah, no, so it's always kind of like it's been a great ground. I had I think you're playing with them, Rex, on the show end of
Yeah,
last year.
yeah. We saw that actually. We have seen like, and you had Rogue Awakening on as well.
Yep,
Your
yep.
friends. Yeah.
Yep. So it's I'm sort of like, I'm seeing with this like a lot of new bands coming out of that area, which is great. And some of the sort of like bands that have kind of been around for a little bit, like Seething Akira and stuff like that. I know they're more Portsmouth, but Portsmouth, Brighton, they got members across the south coast, um, and that sort of area. And it's great because like I always loved playing in Brighton. When I did play down there, when there was a few venues that we hit, and the crowd was always good as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I'd say like the heavy scene isn't huge in Brighton, but the people part of it is just like makes it feel so big. So it
Yeah,
is really nice. Quite like a close knit community.
yeah.
Isn't it?
And it's nice when you get the sort of like big, well, I say big bands, but they play the smaller shows down there as well. Like I saw a lot of bands at the Concord too, down there, which is a great venue in itself. And but it's a small venue. And I saw most recently, I think it was like In Flames. It was a few years ago. Played there. Ugly Kid Joe. And
Yeah, yeah.
bands like that, like and those when I was a kid, those were huge bands. I mean, In Flames, one of my favorite bands. So actually, so is Ugly Kid Joe, to be fair. Um, that's why I went all the way down there. But like seeing them in that small venue and like having that community, and everyone at the show was great as well. Like, it was a really friendly atmosphere, which you do miss a lot of like some shows that you might go to elsewhere, like London. Say London for this one. Um, that's all right. London's okay. London's okay, but the crowds are a little bit. You need to impress them more. I think I'll just say that. But yeah, no. You guys just released your new EP.
We did, yes.
Just to bring it on brand and up to date. So that's why you're on the show. You released Borderland on Friday of this week, which was the 24th.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys hit us with 3 songs. The first song I heard was the After Party. That was what kind of got me drawn into it. So that is a very good tune. Very good.
Thank you.
And then I was sent your EP, but what I actually did, I waited for it to be released so you'd actually maybe get something like a penny or a fraction of a penny from the streaming.
Yeah, a couple of years time we'll see that.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's yeah, you might, but it's had a couple of listens, so it might even turn out to be a whole penny. You might get lucky with that. No, I love the 3 tracks that you released with it. Obviously, After Party we've already talked about just then. It's a great track. But Dirty Floor, another good track, and Limbo. See You on the Other Side. No, it's like it's great. So it's like I mean I would call it a single because it's only 3 tracks, and that's just me being old. So apologies for that. But yeah, no, it's a great little EP. What was the sort of like just give us the, I mean obviously because you guys are new to a lot of my listeners, just give us a lowdown on those tracks if you don't mind. So if we start with like Dirty Floor, what was the sort of like, I don't know, inspiration behind it?
Yeah, it's difficult because like before that the EP, I guess we were a bit of a different band. We were more kind of like hard rock, bluesy kind of influence, and that's what I was saying before, where a lot of the songs are written like pre-Sypha. That was kind of like, I think, when we say Sypha was born, it was we had a gig that was offered to us, and we're like, oh crap, like we need to get a set list together. Let's put in a bunch of random stuff that we have written. So Dirty Floor was really the first time we kind of sat down and like, oh, this is what we want to, like, the true Sypha sound, I suppose, or an evolution of the sound that we're going for.
Yeah, because you had the riff for a while, didn't you? And we just loved the riff. We just couldn't think of any other section to go with it. We just kept playing the riff over and over again. It was like, no, I think it's going to be something. We just could not, like the chorus, I think there's been like 3 iterations of it. So when we actually played that song live, I think when that came like actually released, I think people probably didn't realize it was the same song because it was very different at that point.
Yeah.
But as you say, like I think we kind of always were drawn to that slightly heavier sound. It's mainly the type of music that we listen to, and we just wanted to do it really. I think we're always kind of just on the edge of going in that direction, and then we tried it and we just found that it was kind of really what we wanted to do.
It was kind of the first step of this is our sound, or our true sound.
That excited us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I did go back and listen to your other songs. This is how you're going to get the whole penny. But no, I listened to what have I got it written down? Your Ways, World's End as well, which you released last year. According to my thing here. How actually, that's what I was going to ask. What was it? Sober as well. You released back in 2022. But with like World's End, with that being released last year, was that the kind of like end of that kind of sequence that you had that you were talking about there, and when Sypha kind of came along? Because it didn't, obviously, you released other tracks in 2024 and then released this in 20. I know it's 2025 now, but was that because like I said, I did listen to him, like you did say there was like a difference in sound and stuff, which there was, I can hear that. And I like to sort of hear that evolution of a young band that kind of sort of still making their sound or the way they want to play kind of thing, or the way they want to sound and all that kind of stuff. And it's great to sort of hear early stuff. I always love hearing it. It's as embarrassing as it might be for you guys. Um, I can always like try and pick out a demo from somewhere, which is always good. I like to dig for stuff sometimes. But yeah, no, I mean, what sort of what was the reason? Like, was that like say World's End? Was that the end of that kind of sequence of singles, or
It's almost
that
like
kind of
it was like the end and the beginning. I think it's such a middle ground, that song, whereas like the music itself, we'd started to dip into the heavier side, but vocally it was still quite clean and melodic. So
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Like, in terms like the riff, that like main riff that goes around is like quite dark sounding, harmonic minor sounding, spooky kind of riff. And that kind of reappears in both Dirty Floor and Limbo as well. So yeah, like kind of what you said, like it's a bit of a stepping stone between the older sound and then our kind of more current sound.
yeah.
Yeah, it used to be, I think, before it was like the heaviest song we had in the set, and
Yeah.
now it's by far not the heaviest song we have in the set. But it sort of was that switch over as everything else changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of led you that way. It's the gateway to where you're going now, which is great. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about Limbo. What's the sort of story behind that one?
So it was weird because we actually wrote that song really quickly. We were doing Metal to the Masses at the time, and we made it to the finals in Brighton. And we were just really eager to play a brand new track that no one had heard before. So that was your goal, was to like, right, we need this song finished by that gig day. I think we rehearsed it twice max before we actually played it live.
One was the day before.
One was the day before, yeah.
Standard.
But you just like, I don't know, you just came out of the riff and we just instantly loved it. Like I think we just was like, oh yeah, this is really good. It wasn't just like a quick getting a track in and it'll do. It was like, oh, actually this is really good. And then like I was reading Alice in Borderland at the time. It's a manga series. It's also on Netflix. And was kind of inspired by those sort of themes of this like limbo version of Tokyo, where you're like kind of stuck between two worlds, kind of in a survivalist mode. And that's really what inspired the kind of story and the lyrics, and it just fit really well. It was like a nice, I think Dirty Floor is like our heavier side. After Party is like a more fun, energetic, and Limbo was like a pretty in between.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah.
Nice. And then I mean that brings us on to the After Party, which was the first track I heard of you guys, and yeah, I love that track. And yeah, what is the sort of grounding behind that? Because obviously it is a little bit more, like you said, a bit more up tempo, if you will, a bit more party like, if you will. But what is the story behind that one?
I think this is like the first track where when we started playing live, we wanted something that would be just really fun, not only for us, but for like other people to get involved with as well. And I think this is the first song we wrote where it's like, okay, this would be really cool to play live. Just the, like I said, that up tempo of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really stop that much as well. It just
No.
kind of keeps in your face. And
It's quite
doesn't
like
really-
punky elements, because
Yeah.
like the kind of punk scene is quite strong in Brighton. It does really well, and
Yeah.
then it massively engages crowds. So we were just watching, like, going to gigs, seeing like punk shows and being like, oh my God, the audience is absolutely loving it. So I think we like wanted to pull that element into our own sound and yeah, really get the audience moving. So it was definitely a song that we wrote to be live, because it's so much fun to play. I think it is like one of our favorites to play live.
Yeah,
I've
it
heard
is,
everyone say that.
Yeah.
So that was our only concern, was like, is it going to sound as big when we actually record it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the producers did an amazing job. So yeah, we're super happy.
Yeah, no, it's a great track. Like I said, it was the first one I heard, and obviously went on from there. But it's a great introduction to you guys, because it doesn't quite give away everything, but it just sort of it pulls you in with that energy, and then they can people can go on and dive deeper with your other tracks as well, because they take you on more of a ride through your kind of like I guess influences and stuff like that. I think that's probably the better word I'm looking for. But what I was actually going to ask you, just because I like to do this after I've asked you about music, what are your influences? I know it's a pretty standard question, but what did you listen to? Like, where does your sound come from?
Yeah, I mean, I can go first. I mean, if you want, like, it kind of fits two ways, because the influences that made me sort of want to do music are a lot more punk based. They're like Green Day, the band Paramore. But in terms of like the sound we have now, it's things like Bring Me the Horizon are quite a big influence.
Yeah.
But again, I switch between the two because if you listen to the bass line in After Party, it's actually very punky. It's very much a punk bass line most of the way through, while the other songs are just that heavy traditional metalcore style bass.
Nice.
I really thought you were going to say if you listen to the bass, it's just essentially a Green Day song.
Things like that.
Played the extra chord. That's what made it.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, my favorite band is Motorhead. Always grown up, so I always want to keep that kind of, I don't know, what do you call it?
Hard rock nature, I think.
Yeah,
like really riff based and
bit more raw, I suppose,
Yeah.
in the riff. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then like growing up, like I said, Bullet and Valentine, and Avenged Sevenfold were massive influences on me, like learning guitar and sort of like being able to write riffs and things like that as well. So yeah, I guess a mix of that, and then obviously like getting more like modern ways, like Architects,
Nice.
pretty classic, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
Motorhead were my gateway band into rock and metal back then.
Yeah, my first ever gig was seeing Motorhead. I think 2007.
No.
I don't know why you're about to look at me for that.
No, I've got over on the windowsill. I've got my original ticket frame.
Nice. My time with them goes back to the 80s.
Awesome.
That's how old I am. But I saw them on a TV show. There was a TV show called The Young Ones. So this totally showed my age here. But it's about 4 students living in a squalor flat sort of thing. But anyway, during a so during a sequence they have of them basically going to join University Challenge, they have music band playing in the background, and they had Motorhead playing live, like on the show as they're running to get the train and all that kind of stuff. And that was like when I was like 6, 7 years old, exposed to heavy music for the first time. And since then, it kind of just planted that seed. And I followed on from there, and here we are. Yes, still love heavy music, and that's great. It's but Motorhead, special place in my heart, I would say, for Motorhead and stuff like that. But yeah, Alisha, your influences.
Yeah, mine is quite ranged. Like when I first even started BIM, I think I was about 17 at the time. I wasn't necessarily into metal. I hadn't really I was listening to like, I guess, hard rock as like the max level. I was like, yeah, when I was younger, I listened to a lot of Green Day, Blink, McFly is a random one to throw out there. But as I started to kind of hear people's influences through college and just like listening to the music and what people were playing, that's when I really like got excited by hard rock and metal and stuff. So it came a little bit later to me. I mean, my dad was always, I was exposed to Motorhead quite young as well through my dad and stuff like that. But until I kind of went to college, uni, it was sort of Hailstorm was the one that like initially got me in. Just Lizzie Hale's voice is just insane. And I think that was like, wow, I want to do that. That was like kind of the most, the excitement for me that I'd kind of never really felt before. And was just like, I have no idea if I can do this, but I really, really want to. So that was kind of the gateway band for me into that kind of harder genre. And now loving bands like, or artists like Poppy, absolutely obsessed with her at the moment. And yeah, just kind of similar Architects. Yeah, I think I'm in my metal zone for sure, which I think is like, I think that's why like the band starting to get heavier, because like I'm trying to grow what I can do from my side as well. So dipping into like heavier tones in my voice and stuff as well.
No, that's good. I mean, Lizzie Howe, amazing vocals, like absolutely stunning. I've seen them live a couple of times, and each time it's like she just has this, I don't know what it is, it just blows me away, just the range that she has, but with the sort of like the grit.
Yeah, that like rattle extremely, it's incredible.
And it's absolutely like, I saw her, what was it, back in I want to say 2015, I think it was. I used to live in the States, but they came to like the local theater, if you will. It was a sit down gig, which is weird. So I was like 3rd row from the front. It was a great view. But like watching her, and then I saw them again at Brixton a few years ago with Avatar and someone else who I can't remember right now, which is probably really bad of me. No, can't remember who it was. But yeah, it was that. I mean, again, like totally, like, and the whole band, in fact, it's not just her, but their band as a whole. Like, they're so much fun to watch, and they totally engross the sort of like rock and roll, rock and metal kind of
Yeah.
like feel. And like hearing her with Skid Row at the moment as well, like
Mm.
that's great to hear that. Like hearing her voice take on like that sort of era of stuff. And
Yeah.
it fits really well. I thought, like, I don't know if they're going to record with her, but that would be kind of cool if they did. Um, but yeah, no, fantastic, fantastic influences there. I know I didn't say much about your punk influences as well. Um, I wasn't much. I mean, I was a little bit into punk, but not. I was more into my sort of like hardcore sort of style of it. So, the faster three chords, or
Yeah.
actually one chord. I think it was just the open chord most of the time. But yeah, that was my sort of thing back then. But no, really cool. And it's a good deep dive for like the sort of like potential new fans and stuff to sort of know where you came from and where you might go with your music, or you might take off and do something completely different of your own. Oh, cool. It'd be amazing. But as for 2025, as it is the new year, what are your plans this year? I know you got a couple of shows lined up. One of them is it the Hammer Down Fest
Mm.
Yeah.
show?
Yeah.
Um, and or Hammerfest. And yeah, what have you guys got coming up so far? I know like you got those two shows, so we can talk about those. But have you got anything else coming up as well? So
I mean, so our next show is in London on the 9th of February.
yep.
We have Metal to the Masses again on the 4th of March at Dalton's, and then another gig at Dalton's on the 8th as well.
That's supporting Black Orchid Empire, so we're
Oh
pretty
yeah,
excited about
nice.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. And that's with Rex as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'd be super
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, we're trying our luck at Metal to the Masses again. Made it to the finals last year, so hoping to just get that one step further. But no, they're super fun gigs either way. So yeah,
Yeah.
all in.
Again, I think it kind of like encapsulates like what we're saying about that Brighton scene as well. Like
Yes.
all of those shows, like everyone is just supporting each other.
Yeah.
Like it's a competition, but it's not. It's just everyone just bigging each other up. And
Yeah.
it's awesome. Like, such a
That's what I kind of like about the Metal to the Masses. Like I've never been a fan of Battle of the Bands. I've always said that
yeah.
before, and but I've watched the Metal to the Masses over the years and how it works and stuff, and it's a very good way of doing it. It doesn't pit people against each other, which is the reason I don't like. I always like a scene to kind of grow, and some of the bands will rise out of it and do well. Some of them may not, but if you all come to all sort of the high tide raises all ships. I think the saying is, isn't it? And that works. I mean, I know Rex put on their own shows. They book the shows that they play. They book the bands on there, and all that kind of stuff. And that's a great way of like engrossing yourself in the scene for one, but being part of that and being helpful towards that. Because a lot of bands can be selfish. And like in my experience, this is nothing against any of the band. I don't. This is not speaking to anyone specific, but it's like I've been part of scenes where it's gone toxic, because like of jealousy, things like that, which can happen when a band makes it big out of a scene. Everyone kind of expects to be pulled along with it, but then they don't like quite get the idea that you still have to work for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Keep that work ethic going. You keep that scene alive, and like a lot of scenes can pass because of that, or they just dry out because it's been tapped by the money, which doesn't happen so much these days, which is kind of nice because like a lot of bands like yourself can go independent and still do just as well. Obviously, you get help from where you need it. Like in this case, you had a press agent, for instance, and that's how I kind of found out about you. And stuff like that, and you get yourself managers and publicists or whatever. You can get people if you want them, but it doesn't stop you. It gives you have a level playing field when it comes to releasing music, and playing live is where you kind of like that's where you make the difference now. Well, it's always been where you've made the difference, but it's more now than it has been before, unless you get viral, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think we always I think that was the first thing that really, when we first started out, was the thing that kind of made us think, oh God, this could actually go somewhere. Because the response we had from audiences were really, really amazing. And just, yeah, I think people just going out of their way to say how much they enjoyed it or buy a t-shirt and stuff, it still kind of amazes us. Like, it's just so nice. And I think from there, every time you go out and play live, you enjoy it even more and you've got more people on your side. And yeah, it definitely motivates you to go further, because I think that's how we started. Like, that's why we don't have tons of music out on Spotify at the moment because we were just so keen to get ourselves out live
Yeah.
straight away. We've got a set, let's go out, let's do it, and then we'll record later if people like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how we started our roots in the live scene for sure.
Excellent, excellent. And obviously the rest of 2025, you're kind of obviously, I'm guessing you might have some irons in the fire regarding over the summer or anything like that. But is there anything else in the pipeline?
We're playing Breaking Bands Festival, which we're really excited about. That's obviously in Bromsgrove as well, so it kind of puts us further out from the south coast, and we're kind of hoping to book a tour around that date. So actually, kind of venture out into the north, well, north of Brighton at least. Yeah. Yeah, and then book some dates around that. So we're really excited because we've never been to places like Nottingham or Leeds or stuff like that, and that's where we're really excited to go out. And obviously they have great communities around the metal scene and stuff like that. So that's kind of our next step. Our plans is to venture out a little bit further.
Yeah.
Nice, excellent.
Yeah, I think as well, like we are starting to write new music as well. Just before the EP came out, we're already thinking about, okay, what's next? I've already tuned my guitar a little bit lower as well.
I got a message about that the other day. Like 7 tone down from where we were before.
Just how far I can push it. Yeah, so hopefully, like, we'll have some news about that. I'm not going to say soon, but
yeah,
in some time in the future.
Yeah.
This year we should have
this year. Okay, cool. Well, it's always good to keep like obviously the creativeness going because you've got a few tracks out. Obviously, you can get like more written, and then you've got more arsenal to hit people with as and when you progress further and further and further. And it's always good to keep the aces up your sleeve, if you will, as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can always break something out, and people go, "Oh my god." Which is always good. So, but yeah, I've got a couple of questions left for you guys. That's all right, and I can let you get back to the storm, because I can hear it actually raining outside now, and it sounds like someone's like urinating up against a wall. If that comes through the microphone, it's not me. It's
great.
It's weird. This is the second podcast I've recorded this week, and someone's had a storm outside. So I had Vakovi on the show. Last week, Thursday, and they were just about to get hit by that storm Owen.
Yeah,
and they're actually on the west coast of Scotland as well, so they got the full brunt of that. So
I just heard something now. Said that, yeah. Someone was just rustling outside our window.
I've got to walk home in it.
But yeah, final question. So this one is going to go to each of you. So I'll go to you one by one. I'll start with you, Alisha. So you guys can think about the answers while you're doing it. So Alisha has to get the first.
I'll go straight in. Okay.
It's all right. If you've watched any of my shows, you would know these questions. But if you haven't, then they're going to be a complete surprise to you. So what I want to find out are your 3 records that are the most pivotal in your well, I'm going to say young life, because you are considerably younger than me. But what, obviously you've mentioned some of the artists already. But what of the records? What record made you want to be a singer? What record made you want to get into the industry? Or what, it doesn't even have to be that. It could be just a record that changed your life. But I just want 3.
That is a hard one. I mean, I am going to start with McFly because they are the first band that I ever saw, and they influenced me loads. Like they've had so many iterations of their sound as well. Obviously, starting with, like surfer rock and that. But they're actually I just think they're really underrated musicians. Their songwriting ability is amazing and harmonies. So I think like Room on the Third Floor was their first album. And that was, I think that was definitely my thing of, I actually really enjoy singing. Nice. That was the first one for me. What's a hard one trying to pick after that?
You want to do one each? And I'll go around again. So give me time to think about it, but you go for.
So I obviously I mentioned I'm a massive Green Day fan. Mine would be 21st Century Breakdown, Green Day. It's the album I just go back to, and I've listened to it countless times at this point, and yet I can still find new meanings in the lyrics and hear parts of the songs that I wasn't hearing before. And as I grew up, parts of it meant different things to me as well. So it's just that album that over the years I've gone back to, and it just I want to say it feels safe, but like it is just the album I enjoy over and over and over again.
Nice. Cool. Oh yeah, it's a good album. It is a good album, that one. And I DJ rock clubs in this area and stuff like that, and it's always the tracks off that album people ask for. Very rarely do I get like anything from Dookie these days, which used to be a staple um on that front. But yes, fantastic album. Yeah, Alfred.
Um, I'm gonna go for Bullet for Valentine, Scream Fire
Cool.
album. So I heard this on Guitar Hero 4.
World Tour.
World Tour, yeah,
Yeah.
Guitar Hero World Tour.
Nice.
It was Scream Fire, which was the main single from that album, was on Guitar Hero. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I need to learn this on an actual guitar. And from there, I ended up learning the whole album back to front. I think it really influenced me in terms of like my how to write like guitar metal riff based music.
Yep.
I'd like to think that you can see some influences in Sypha's riffs as well. Just an incredible album. I wish it got more love. I know like Poison gets more love than it nowadays, but
Yeah.
like it's one of my favorite albums all time, easy.
Nice. Nice. I think, is it Poison that's just celebrated an anniversary? Isn't that what
Yeah,
that's
I think they started the tour today or yesterday, I think.
Yeah, with Trivium.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah, back to you, Alicia. Your second album or record.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Slash by Slash, obviously.
Yep.
That album for me was just incredible. It's just got such a range of artists featured on it.
Yeah.
There's just so many different styles of songs, and I just thought that was one that just massively inspired me. Just like I love the concept of not necessarily having like one sound and having to kind of stay within that role. I think a lot more artists like Poppy and stuff are showing that you don't have to stay to like one genre. And yeah, I just thought that album, there's just so many artists on there that it was just incredible. I think that was like a pivotal moment. You showed me that, so thanks.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic album. I remember that album very well. It came free with Classic Rock, I think it was. Like the magazine, you could get it free, or you could buy the CD if you wanted to. But is that the one with like Nicole Scherzinger and everything on it?
I think she's on a track. I know Lemmy's on one of them.
Yeah, Lemmy's on one, Fergie's on one.
Fergie, that might be it.
The Nicole Scherzinger, I don't, but yeah.
It's that album though. Yeah, it's that like because after that it was him and Miles Kennedy, wasn't it? For the rest.
Yeah. Their song on that one though, I just fell in love with. So yeah.
That's a great album. Like I say, it came free with I used to work in HMV, so I got it through that because it came free with the Classic Rock magazine they were selling. And I've still got it. It came with like patches and everything. I was gonna say I saw it the other day, just left me there. But yeah, no, I listened to that recently. It's great album. Fantastic. That is as a good way, because like you say, it's like so many different type of artists with him.
Yeah.
Obviously him being the sort of like rock god, if you will, being Slash and Guns N' Roses and Slash's Snake Pit and all that kind of stuff, and obviously working with Michael Jackson and all that kind of stuff in the past. But yeah, that album was really like, I don't know if it was underrated. Like when it came out, I don't remember it getting a mass amount of praise. I might be wrong. I might not have been looking in the right areas, but it's a great album, and it just sort of showcases a lot of artists that normally any kind of like metalhead rock person would not normally get exposed to. Obviously, you had like, I think Alice Cooper was on there, and the ones we've already mentioned. But like having, I think it is Nicole Scherzinger on it. I think is it Behind the Wheel or something? Track.
Yes, that sounds familiar. I can look it up.
Yeah, if you look it up for me, I was about to look it up here. just my own brain, my ADHD brain will go like, oh my God. Not that I've been diagnosed with that. I'm just making that up. So sorry, everyone.
Yeah, there's like Lemmy, Adam Levine, I knew that.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell, Ozzy, of course.
Yeah.
I can't see Nicole Scherzinger.
There is two. There's a second one, I think.
Yeah.
Extras.
Maybe I'm making. Maybe I imagined something. Maybe in my head, I was thinking the Pussycat Dolls with Slash.
Amazing.
An amazing like combination.
Yeah, it's so good. It's got so many different artists. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the right cover I was speaking about though. So, but no, that's great, fantastic album. Will, your second album or record?
I'm gonna go for Sempiternal by Bring Me the Horizon. And funnily enough, it's because when I first heard the album, I did not like it at all. Because I was younger and I hadn't made that transition into listening to slightly heavier stuff at the time.
Yes.
And then as I got older and came back into that, I listened to it again and went, I don't know what I was thinking. This album is amazingly good. And I listened to it a lot. And it was only a few years ago that I properly came back into it, listening to it, but I absolutely love it.
Nice. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Bullet for My Valentine. Sorry, Bring Me the Horizon. Um, um, mixed up. They've always been a mixed bag for me, purely on a personal experience with them. But like the most recent output has been amazing. This past like 6, 7 years worth of music they've released, it's just
The
different
post,
level. It's crazy. Like
yeah.
going
The
from that
post
kind of like
stuff
cool.
has been great. It's been like I really like that era, but I just can't like the Sempiternal stuff is what got me right back into them. And
Yeah.
so like that's the album that sticks out in my head.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Just quickly going back to the Slash thing, it was a track with Alice Cooper and Nicole Scherzinger.
Okay.
Baby Can't Drive. I just sneakily looking it up on there, and it is on that album. It's like track 15. So I didn't imagine it. It was there, and that's made me happy. Um, but yes, no. Back to Bring Me. Yes, fantastic. That album in particular is really good. And yeah, they continue to kind of like pave the way for a lot of bands, which is great. They've been around for as long as I can remember, longer than they look so young, but they've been around for ages, and it's incredibly jealous. I mean, I've lost most of my hair under this hat, so it's just that kind of thing of like I do show my age, and it's grey. It's not like I haven't put silver in this. But it's just one of those things where you watch these bands ascend, like from playing on sort of similar stages to them many years ago, tiny stages, and you watch these bands ascend, and it's just like madness, like headlining Download and stuff.
Mhm.
You know what the hell's going on there. But yeah, no, fantastic. Alfred, your second record.
Yeah, I'm gonna go like super classic. I know it's definitely not like an underrated choice at all, but I'm gonna say Back in Black, AC/DC.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, purely on a more like I don't know, not nostalgic, but so I played a lot of football growing up.
Yep.
And driving to those games, like some of them were quite far away.
Yep.
And driving with my dad in the car, the CD would go straight in, and we listened to the full album on the way there. And it was just such a great gateway into like hard rock and just more
Yeah.
like rock and roll kind of stuff. And I think like what 10-year-old me, 9-year-old me, or whatever, I just loved everything about it, like the groove, the riffs, the lyrics as well.
Nice.
And it's just nostalgic as a gateway to I
Yeah.
guess now and as a musician and as a person as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That album is well, it's legendary. It's one of those like it's a pivotal album in time, if you will, as well. So it's one of those ones that I think will continue to live on. I say long after they're gone, but they're still with us, and they've been with us so long. I don't know if they will go. It's like the Rolling Stones. It's like I think they signed that deal with the devil, and they're going to last a little bit longer. Um, but no, I mean that album is in particular that is like legendary, and it is fantastic. I can imagine listening to that, going to a like if you're going to play a sporting event or anything like that, it is highly motivational.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's so like it's like yes, yes, you know.
It's just I just love like AC/DC as a band as well. Like again with my dad, my first download festival experience was 2010.
Yep.
Where AC/DC brought their own stage.
Yes.
I just thought that was the coolest thing you could do ever. Like
It really is, isn't it?
like right next to the main stage, but only we can play it, and everyone else has got to just look at it the whole time.
Yeah. If we don't get onto Download in 5 years, that's probably what we're gonna do. We're just gonna rock up with our own stage.
Make our own stage.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. You got to bring your own stage. I mean, that is like the ultimate kind of like, you know, just like rock move, if you will. You know, they had so many different like iconic moments, and then like what can we do to top that? Let's go to a major festival, but we're gonna bring our own stage, our own rig, our own like, you know, and they'll pay us for it. They will pay us for it.
And everyone will love it as well, and everyone will just stare at it the whole time as well.
That's mad, absolutely mad. I love it, absolutely love it. Okay, Alisha, your final record of the three.
Yeah. I was struggling to pick between two, Architects, Holy Hell, and Hailstorm, The Strange Case of. But I think I am going to go with Hailstorm just because I think for this band in particular, I think that was like the root of how Sypha got started. That was our like inspirational sound to begin with, and yeah, said her voice is just incredible, and stuff like Ms. Hyde and that were just songs really, really got me into the genre and wanting to try out certain techniques and stuff. I could speak about Lizzie Hale's voice all day, but yeah, I just think that's probably a pivotal album for me.
Fantastic. Yeah, again, a fantastic album. We've already talked about Hailstorm. Great band.
Yeah.
Like I've seen them a couple of times. I've got their records. It's, I'm a fan. So it's yeah, I can agree. I can see that being a great sort of like gateway album.
Yeah.
Cool. Will, your final record.
Mine will be a bit more on the softer side. It's an artist I love a lot. It will be Tape Deck Heart by Frank Turner.
Okay, cool.
Because I am a massive Frank Turner fan. And when I was getting into him, I saw him live. He was the first live show I saw when my parents weren't there. And then not long after, as I was getting into him, Tape Deck Heart came out, and that was the album that I gravitated straight to.
Nice.
And it's an album that has his punk, like the punk vibe he had with Million Dead, but he doesn't need like all the heavy stuff to bring it through. An acoustic guitar is absolutely fine, and it still hits the same way.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I mean, I love that guy. Former guest on this show as well, when he broke the world record for gigs in a day, and his album Undefeated, which was his last album that came out. But yeah, no, fantastic. I played with Million Dead as well back in the day. And yeah, I got to share a stage with them, which was great, and they were great people in general from what I can recall from that show. Really enjoyed playing with them. Frankie is just one of those, like, I'll say, hidden talents in the UK. It's weird because there is a popular part for it. Like his album got to like, charted and all that kind of stuff, but it's still kind of like, I don't know if the sort of like mainstream has taken him in.
Yeah, he's a weird one because like he played the closing ceremony for the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
So a lot of people saw him play, and yet still, if you said it to most people, they'd be like, "Yeah, I've never heard of him."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's weird, isn't it? He's like the best kept secret, but it's not a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really strange. Like thinking about it now, I'm like, yeah, no, he's like, he can do this. He can, like, I remember when he went on and he just sort of went and sold, I think he sold out Wembley Arena it was many years ago, but it was just like he announced a show and that was it. It was just like trying to sort it. And now he's playing his 3,000th show this year at Ali Pali, which is absolutely crazy to think 3,000 shows. Like in a 10-year span of me being in a band, I think I managed about 500 shows.
Yeah.
To go 3,000, and I know he does like a lot of acoustic stuff, but it's still like, I don't know where the energy comes from,
Yeah, it's really like he doesn't just go on stage and stand there with an acoustic guitar. He's running around the whole time. He's in a suit for the whole thing. I don't know how he does that either.
That's insane.
The whole band just bring energy. They don't need to have like everything going at once to bring it. They just do.
And that 24-hour thing he did, like where he was playing all those venues in that space of time, and just to watch the documentary for the footage that I saw and how tired his whole team were by the end of it. And he played local to me as well, which unfortunately I missed, but he was on at like 7 in the morning in Aldershot on the road. And it was sold out from what I remember, like at 7 o'clock in the morning, just to him to play this like 25-minute acoustic set. But it was part of a world record attempt, which he broke the world record for as many shows in different cities in different, whatever the parameters were of it. It was absolutely mad. But yeah, no, Frank Turner, fantastic, great person to speak to and sort of learn the industry from as well. If you ever get the chance to sort of sit down with them or just rap with him for a little bit, he can, like, just insightful, like, and incredibly intelligent when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I guess that's how he keeps that enigma, if you will, of being this. But Alfred, your final record.
Final one. I'm going Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park. Again, I'm just going off nostalgia.
No, it's fine.
It's my older brother was into like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, like Sum 41, all that kind of stuff growing up, and I would just steal all his records all the time. And I remember, yeah, Hybrid Theory was the first one I like truly like gravitated to and
Yeah.
learned all the words, not very well because I was like 4, I think. But I tried my best. I just got such great memories of like playing like Nintendo 64 whilst like blasting Linkin Park. And like every time I hear that album, I'm just like taken back to that time. It's just such a every track is a complete banger. Yeah, from like the singles all the way to like the back of the album, like it's just awesome. And it paved the way for like such an amazing career for all of them, and yeah, such a great legacy as well. And you know, obviously with everything that's kind of happened, but like to see them still going as well and still making amazing music is amazing. And like they're just such a cool band and just yeah, awesome.
Nice. Yep. I find it difficult to argue with that now. I used to when I was younger, because they came out in my sort of formative years, if you will, in like when I was 20, 21. That's when that album came out. It shows my age now. And they're about to have the 25th anniversary of Hybrid Theory this year. So I feel really old, but at the time I was very much like, no, this is poppy shit. And I was very too cool for school. I've said this on many of my shows, and over the years I've gravitated towards that album. I love new metal. That is my go-to when it comes to sort of like my teenage years and stuff like that. And I was a scratch DJ in a metal band, so I was part of that new metal kind of like element, the element that made it new metal. Apart from the sort of rap lyrics, it was the guy scratching vinyl in the background.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Linkin Park, I saw them live back then as well. I don't know how lucky I was like at the time because I was very much like, you know, and they were supporting, they weren't the headliner. They were opening for I think it was Deftones on one of the shows.
That's not cool.
No.
Great lineup,
Just dropping names now.
yeah.
But I think I'm trying to think. It was I think it was like them. Might have been Taproot and Deftones playing the London Docklands Arena. I think it was. And I saw them then again a few years later. I think when they released Meteora in London as well. And yeah, and like just watching that again, watching that sort of band rise and become as big as they have. Obviously, you know what happened 7 years ago is a tragedy, but they've come back from that, and they've found someone that is, I feel, a great replacement. Like you know, if a band wanted to do that, there, I think like I was very much like against the people naysaying it because it's, you know, these other guys have a band. It was their band. It's always been their band collectively, and a lot of bands do continue after something like that happens if you know if it's possible. And you know, and it's sort of, you know, and that new album, it's great. The singles off of it were fantastic. Like I play them at like the club and everything. I've got the vinyl somewhere. I bought the vinyl on album on vinyl, I should say. Sorry. And you know, and it's it's just one of those like it was like the track the Emptiness Machine was like a quintessential Linkin Park track.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It kind of encompassed what they were 20 plus years ago, but it gave them that new kind of sound as well. It was like one of those tracks that kind of like, yeah, this was us. We can still do this with this person as well. But then look what she can do, and how this can keep us going. And then obviously they followed it really. They did it in a really smart way. They just hit everybody like kind of like shock and awe with it because it was like they announced it. They played a live stream. They did a like a small world tour, released the album, and now they're coming back this year to play stadiums.
Yeah.
And it gives the sort of haters nothing.
Yeah.
Because they're just like they just kind of bulldozed over them, which I thought was a brilliant idea because it could have been because the way the internet is, you can get very kind of like you can get killed, like literally like your career can end because there's a lot of hate online. But they found this way of just like bulldozing over it, proving straight away that she could do what she could do, and releasing that album that came out with it as well. And just sort of like, I mean, it's a very short album. I'll give it that. That's the only sort of criticism I'll have. It's like 29, 30 minutes, which is no time at all. But then they just released an a cappella version of it last week as well. That, which I was like, is there a new Pitch Perfect coming out or something? You know, such a good idea. It's a really good idea. Don't get me wrong. It would probably do very well in that circle. But yeah, it's like it's that kind of like blunt force mentality that a lot of like negativity can hit you with if you hit them with the good stuff and just continue going and don't listen to any naysayers, which I think is what has basically happened. It can quieten that down very quickly. But yes, back to hybrid theory. Yes, it's a breakthrough for a lot of like a lot of people and a lot of bands I speak to these days. Mainly because you guys are so young and I feel so old. But
I
it's
love it because like you can still feel the effects of it now with
yeah,
bands now. Like you hear some music and you're like, oh, like I can hear Hybrid Theory or Linkin Park or Limp Bizkit or something of that era or Korn like there. So like I think new metal was huge, obviously early 2000s, but
It's making a comeback for
yeah,
sure.
in a big way, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love
I'm in love with it as well. This is great.
it.
A lot of the bands stuck around, which is great, but then there are a few that are coming back and like just watching like these new bands like yourself, like take those influences from that era that I was like part of, I'd say, and just hearing that and like hearing this legacy continue because, you know, obviously, a lot of bands, Limp Bizkit's still around, Deftones still around, Korn's still around, but you know, how long will they go for? They might just keep going, which will be cool. But it's that kind of like ebbs and flows. Like there was a point where new metal was a joke. That was around 2002, 2003. I think it like was killed off by the magazines for the like sort of emo post-hardcore thing to sort of come through. And then obviously because things go round, that'll be back again soon. I'm sure it kind of came back a little bit when My Chemical and Paramore were doing their stuff recently. But that will come back around again. It always does. I think I'm just dreading the Scar return of Scar because that's due. That is due, unfortunately.
It's coming.
Um, it is coming. Yeah, the the brass section is behind you. Um, but finally, I've got one last question for you because I know I've kept you a little while. But what are your hobbies away from Sypha? So I'll start with Alfred this time. We'll go from left to right.
Well,
So you've already mentioned football.
yeah, I was going to go with football, but that's such a classic. Can I talk about new hobby?
Yeah.
I have recently, I mean, very as of this weekend, I played my first game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh, yes.
Absolutely loved it.
Nice.
I'm gonna make that my new thing
Excellent.
from now on. It was such a cool time. I was a bit nervous going in, but um, I was given a pre-made character. I was a dwarf fighter,
Yep.
and I love him dearly already, and I want to continue his legacy.
Absolutely beautiful. Welcome to the world of D&D.
Olga.
Yes, it is. It can be. It's you could have a drug habit. You could have this. Um, it's one of those things. I got my kids into that during lockdown. And yeah, like I'm into that kind of like world, if you will, like D&D, Warhammer, of that ilk and everything. And I've spoken about it here before. No shame at all. I love it. I love painting my little guys and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, D&D is a lot of fun if you can sort of, I guess, give yourself to it. It's like kind of, I always look at it as like a performance piece, if you will. Like you could just be someone else for that few hours. Like you can be that dwarven warrior that you are. Um, First time I played D&D, I was given a hobbit, a herbalist, which wasn't very good in fights and stuff. So I had to generally cower behind things, which was fun at the time. It's a good way to break in. But since then, I've been multiple characters that over the years that have brought me much joy and pain. Like there's one where you've kind of like had it for a long time and then it just gets killed off, and then you're like, oh, you gotta start all over again. But that's part of the game. That is part of the game. But yeah, no, D&D, love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Welcome to that world. What about you, Will?
I also love a good game of D&D as well. And you mentioned Warhammer. I love that too. I also play cricket from time to time as well.
Nice, excellent.
It's not so much something I've been doing more recently, but it's something when I get a Sunday and a free day off, I do love a good chance to just go out and field for a little bit. Good bit of fun. I also play Yu-Gi-Oh as well from time to time. When the people who I play it with are actually around, because there's only a few of us. But yeah, so that sort of thing, like strategy games and sports, are the same sort of things that I was doing as well.
Nice. Again, you could have a crack habit. Bogey habit. Um, but yeah, like that cricket, I used to play cricket when I was a kid. I was a wicket keeper. I was pretty good at it, I think. I had my own gloves and everything. They got me my own gloves, so I must have been all right at it. But yeah, no, cricket's always fun, and yeah, the weather at the moment doesn't really pertain to that.
No, it's mostly something you play through May to August if the weather lets you.
Yeah. Or do what the cricketers do, go to Australia for 6 months.
I wish I could call
You
that.
use heavily, but you're in Australia for 6 months. So no, cool. Yeah. Like I say, Warhammer is a thing of mine. I like playing the little skirmish versions. So like Necromunda and Blood Bowl and stuff like that. Just sort of the mini games and things.
Yeah.
I haven't quite delved into 40,000 as fully as a lot of people I know. But I went with the sort of mini games.
I was more of a 40,000 player. I was, as much as it's become a joke recently, I was a Tau player. As much as that is now something that everyone is laughing at in the community. But yeah, I enjoy it. Just a quick skirmish, one you can do in a few hours, just a small army.
Yeah.
Make it fun.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've got a great like game shop near me as well, and I've got a few mates that are now sort of making the models and like featuring in Hammer magazine and stuff like that, which is awesome.
That's cool. Yeah.
Again, watching these people rise through the ranks, and there's me. I'm in a corporate sort of, well, I say corporate retail job. But yes, finally, Alisha, what are your hobbies?
I really like drawing. I don't have the time all the time to do it, so I haven't done it sort of recently, but that is kind of like how I started to get into my creative side. It's just something nice to do away from screens. Our original logo actually hand drew and then like scanned it into basically Photoshop and then kind of made it that way. And if you can see the original logo, it's still like inspired about the text that we've got now. So that was quite nice to be able to bring that into Sypha as well. But yeah, I think because I did have this idea. I was gonna each like song that we released, I was gonna draw each member and have like a cartoon version of them as the EP cover. I got as far as Will, so you've got yours, and that's and that's where I got to. So I might have to return and come back because I mean Sypha Dull Ladders is what inspired our name. So I was trying to draw little versions of ourselves basically to come into it. But yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Well, guys, thank you very much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it. Everyone, go download, listen, purchase Borderland now. It is available now on all good online stockists. Do you have physical of that yet, or are you purely digital?
Purely digital for now. I think
Bandcamp, right?
Yeah.
Bandcamp. No? Yes? No?
I'm not sure.
Where can people buy the music? That's what I want.
Bandcamp.
Amazon, MP3 download. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So I like to encourage the purchase of music, despite despite like the streaming side of it. I know I mentioned it earlier. You got a penny out of me, so well done. But you know, like obviously it's on the streaming services, so people can get it that way. But yeah, like purchasing music. If anyone's like purchasing digital music, MP3s. Obviously, I was Amazon MP3s, iTunes, if that's still I should know if that's still a thing. And yeah, if it's on Bandcamp. I don't know. Do you say you had a Bandcamp?
It is. Okay, cool.
It is. Okay, cool. Because Bandcamp Friday is a huge thing. Like, you can get that because you get 100% of your royalty at that point, and Bandcamp don't take a cut of that. It's the first Friday of every month, in case you didn't know. So anyone, you can wait until the first Friday, or you can just buy it now. It's 3 tracks. Go on.
Oh, why not?
Yes, exactly. But guys, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, Alfred, Will, Alisha.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for having us.